video, we're going to go over number 1 from the free response questions for the Unit 1 review. All right, and hopefully you've had a chance to read this or see what's going on in this problem. This is actually one of the questions that was on my AP exam back in 2003. That's how old it is. All right, so we've got essentially 2 parents have built 2 separate catapults. You can see catapult A, catapult B, based on different designs. And they want to use the catapults, they want to build more of them, but they want to use this idea that at one of their school fairs, at a school fair, they're going to have a game where you put a ping pong ball on the catapult. It launches the ping pong ball, trying to get into this band. All right, and the target line is here, and the band is 5 centimeters, right? So as long as you land in that band, then you win whatever prize is happening for that game. All right, so before they roll this out for like the whole school fair, they went ahead and launched 40 ping pong balls with each of these catapults. So each has 40. And we want to basically use these dot plots to help us answer some statistical questions. Okay? So the first one says, comment on any similarities and any differences in the 2 distributions of the distances traveled by these ping pong balls that are launched by these catapults. All right? So the moment you read the letter A, what should be happening in your head? What should you be thinking that you need to address in this question A? Yes, Brittany? You can say standard deviation. It's going to be hard. I mean, you could find the standard deviation because you can probably find all those different values. So that could give you a measure of spread. But I think there's an easier one. So there's 3 things I'm thinking about. Shape, center, and spread. Range is a measure of spread. So when I'm thinking about this problem, I'm thinking about shape, center, and spread. And don't forget that you need to write down these sentences in context. In context. And this is a pretty poor handout for you guys. There's not enough room to write down. So I'm just going to verbally say it. But the key for this is already on Google Classroom, so you can see what it looks like to write the sentences. So does anyone want to give it a shot for the shape? Does anyone give it a shot for the shape? How would you describe the shape of each of these catapults? Raise your hand, anyone? The shape? No one wants to give it a try? Yeah, Sergio?
In this example of catapult, you can say catapult B in this scenario is roughly symmetric.
So you're saying catapult B is roughly symmetric?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm saying catapult A is, what's the other one?
Catapult A?
Yeah, catapult A is the other one.
Is the other, so not roughly symmetric?
Yeah, not.
Okay. I kind of agree with you. I do think this one, if I had to pick one that was more roughly symmetric, I would say catapult B is probably unimodal and roughly symmetric. I still think this is probably unimodal, but what's my concern about catapult A?
It's limited to the gap.
Okay, there's some gaps, and usually if there's gaps, you see this one here at like 122 centimeters and 155. What do I think those could be? Those could be outliers. So I would say in my answer for shape, I would say that catapult A is unimodal, but maybe some gaps, as Taylor said, and possibly some outliers. Do I need to say that they are outliers? No. Do I know if they're outliers? I do not, right? If you haven't calculated whether they're outliers or not, don't say they're outliers. Say possibly there are some outliers here. And it could be this one only, it could be this one only, it could be both of them, it could be this one as well. I don't know, right? So I just need to say there are possible outliers in catapult A. All right, that's the shape. What about the center? What do you think is the easiest center to find when you're given a dot plot? What is the easiest center to find in this graphical display? No, that's not a center. That's a measure of spread. Is mean or median are really your options here. Is it mean or median is easiest to find right now? Median, right? Because if I'm going to find the mean, I've got to take all these data values, either add them all up or put them into a calculator to find it. So it's easiest to find the median. How many ping pong balls? There's 40. So what do I do with that 40? How do I find the median when I have 40 data values? 40. We did this on Tuesday, right? Divided by 2. What's 40 divided by 2? 20. But this is an even number of data values. So it's not the 20th one, right? It's the 20th and the 21st. Very good. Yes, the 21st. So whatever the middle of the 20th and the 21st data value is, that is my median. So let's find it for catapult A. So here we go. Ready? 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. So 20 and 21 is here. So what would you say my median for catapult A is if they're both right there? I think it's 136, right? Because this is 136, 37, 38, 39, 40. So if they're both 136, the middle of 136 and 136 is 136. So this median is 136. Okay, let's do the same thing for catapult B. Here's my catapult B 20th and 21st value, and that looks to be at 138. 138. So are the medians that far apart? No, they're pretty close, right? Obviously, the median for catapult B is, technically a little bit larger, but in terms of are they that far away? No, they're pretty similar, right? So I would say the median for catapult A is 136 centimeters, and the median for catapult B is 138 centimeters. That checks off the center, right? Just gotta have to say something about the center. All right, now the spread. Bernadette and someone else brought up standard deviation again. Could you find it? Absolutely. Or take all these data values, put them into a calculator. It's gonna take you way too much time, right? This question is a 15-minute max question. So really, you notice I really haven't used the calculator at all yet. All right, so instead of using standard deviation to address the range, what is the easiest range for looking at dot plots? I actually think that's not the easiest one. Even though, Jimena, I agree with you in the sense that I would want to find the IQR, because if I'm looking at median, I usually use IQR with it. But what's even easier to just address spread? Just the range, right? The highest minus lowest. Now, obviously, Jimena, there's some issues here. Right? If I use the range for catapult A and those are end up being outliers, that's why I would avoid using it. But in terms of just answering question A, is it okay to use the range? Yes, even if it's probably not appropriate or not the best statistical measure of spread to use, you can still use it to answer the question. So what is my range for catapult A? 155 minus, what do you think that is? Well, I think 122. I think it's 122. But you could say 123. It's not that big a deal. So what's 155 minus 122? 33 centimeters. And again, if you put 32 centimeters, it's okay. All right, and then what about for catapult B? 144 is the maximum distance launched, and this is 133. So 144 minus 133 is 11. Right? That's a pretty big difference, guys. Right? Talking about a difference of about 10 centimeters for catapult B, a little bit more, all the way up to over 30 centimeters for catapult A. So obviously, as we said, with Taylor mentioning the gaps, we mentioned the possible outliers. That shouldn't shock you, right? Because you can see that catapult A has much more variation in terms of the launching. All right, any questions on A? So that's all the stuff you would have to address in sentences and in context. So mentioning the words catapult, right, A and B, and then probably potentially the ping pong balls. All right, let's go to B. The parents want to maximize the probability of having the ping pong balls land within that target band. Which one of the two catapults, A or B, would be better to use than the other, and justify your choice? Okay, so let's drill down onto the dot plots. Would anyone like to raise their hand and give us a reason that they would choose one of the catapults in terms of setting it up for the game, essentially, at the fair? Which one do you think would be, quote unquote, better to use if you wanted to try to win that game at the fair? Anyone raise their hand? Give it a shot. Yeah, Taylor, go. What you got?
I think B, because they have possible outliers, which means they can win either less or more.
When you say I don't know, this is what my wife does all the time. She always says stuff, and she's like, I don't know. I was like, actually, you do know, right? You do know. What? That was a great answer. That was awesome. She's picked a catapult. Which one did you pick? B. And did she give a reason? Yes. She's concerned, right, with catapult A having the possible outliers that if I use A, I can end up way short, right, if you end up getting this launch, or you can end up way long if you end up getting that launch, right? So catapult B makes sense, all right, because it doesn't have any of those possible outliers. I love it. That's a great answer. Anyone have another answer? Awesome, Taylor. Love it. Anyone else? The other answer that I was thinking that I think would also kind of work for this is, I think are we all in agreement catapult B makes the most sense?
Yeah.
Right? Catapult B makes the most sense because the distribution of those values, like the spread, is much tighter, right? You're talking about going from 133 centimeters to 144 centimeters, just over 10 centimeters of your spread. So are you way more confident in catapult B in terms of hitting a certain distance? Yeah, you are, compared to catapult A, which, as Taylor mentioned, has potential outliers, right? The spread is way more, right? The variation here in A is way too high. Okay, are we all okay with B? Okay, C, the last one. Using the catapult that you chose. So we chose, right? Taylor chose catapult B. So catapult B. We need to choose, all right? Choose where we would place this catapult in terms of the distance from our catapult to the target line. Remember, we want to hit a certain target however many centimeters away. So what do you guys think makes sense in terms of how far away we would put the catapult from our target? Any ideas? 135. Why'd you go with that, Alan? Okay, it needs to land in 5 centimeters. So you're saying we would do here. So if we did that, right, this would obviously land in the 5 centimeters. So would these two and all of these here, right? But would any of these land in it? No. All right. So I don't think that's necessarily a bad choice. It would work for a lot of them. Is there a better choice, Alan? Is there something that would get more of them to hit? We already kind of talked about it in question A. The median, right? If you choose the median, then remember you've got 50% of the data values below it, 50% above it. So if I choose the median at 138, what happens on all the ones below it? They all hit, right? Because they're 5 centimeters below, right? And when I do above, right, they almost all hit as well. So I would choose, Alan, your answer probably would get full credit, but I would actually choose the median. So should be placed at 138 centimeters to give you the best chance to hit the target. And again, Alan, if you said 135, but you gave a reason, you could still get full credit. So the key thing in this problem where it says explain why you chose this, you need to explain why you're choosing that value. That's the key thing, not just for this question, but all AP exams that you take. When it asks you to justify or explain, make sure you actually use some words, some sentences to give a reason for your answer. All right, that's what I'll be grading next week on the free response section.